this was an interesting TikTok a while back. She had to turn off her comments because of this. So tell me if you guys think this is a very a red flag kind of thing. Okay. This is a 7 minute long TikTok video, so we will be you know, reacting in between. So tell me what you guys think.
Story time about how a former student came to my classroom and asked me on a date. Let me give you a little backstory. I was teaching high school math at the time. I was teaching AP statistics, so I did have seniors. It was my third, fourth, fifth year, I don't know, teaching AP statistics, and I was always very sure about keeping my distance from the students, in the sense of I always said, like, I had a hula hoop on me, around me, don't get too close to me, just because I wanted to maintain that boundary of teacher and student relationship, because I know that I look young. So I didn't want them thinking that I was their friend, because I am in a position of power as a teacher. So we returned back from winter break in January 2020. Should have known this was how the year was going to go. And I kept getting a phone call on my work phone, which I don't even know that phone number, so I don't know how they got through the office to get to my phone. But I didn't answer it, ever, because I don't have time. I was teaching. So then I got an email from this former student asking me to come and see me. And I was like, is there something you need? Can you just email me? He's like, no, I need to see you. And I was like, okay, fine. You can come up to the school on this day and this time. I'm thinking maybe it's about a letter of recommendation, because he had just graduated the previous year. So he was a 2019 grad. And I'm thinking it's something to do with that. But again, I'm not sure why he can't just email me about it, because there's no reason for me to be interacting with a former student at this time. But whatever, he can come up to the school because that's a safe place. He wanted to meet outside of the school, and I said I was only comfortable meeting at the school. So about a week later, he comes up to the school. I have to go down to the office to pick him up. I meet him in the office, and he is wearing a suit. So that's the first red flag. Like, why is this boy wearing a suit? Again, boy is the key word. He is 19 years old. Why is he wearing a suit? And he presents me with Clemson Tiger Paw cookies, which I'm not going to eat because I don't really eat a lot of things from students because they could be poisoning me. But like, kind gesture, but again, another red flag. So I bring him up to my classroom because that's where we can talk. And
why would you do that? Why would you bring them up to your classroom? I mean, I think that's not a good thing, right? In recent years, I don't know about you guys. In recent years, I've been seeing a lot of female teachers doing things with their male students. It's crazy how much you're hearing about it.
my desk is positioned so that I'm looking directly out the door. So I have him sit at my table that's right next to my desk. So his back is to where the door is, and I'm looking out into the door. And I left my door open, and he immediately asked, can we shut the door? And I said, no, we can't shut the door. Teachers and students cannot be in classrooms alone, which is true, especially with the door closed. So I'm, again, trying to maintain my boundaries. So he starts going in, and he's like asking how I'm doing and all this stuff. And let me just give you a little bit of backstory, in the sense that last year when he graduated, he gave me like a letter, like a 3-page typed up letter about how great of a teacher I was, etc. I did think it was a little weird, but like not so weird, because he also gave one to my colleague who was a male. So I was like, maybe he's just like very nice. I don't know. But I never really had any interactions with this student beyond teaching him. Like, he didn't stay in my classroom, he didn't come for lunch, which I don't normally have anyways, but some teachers do that. So I didn't really see him outside of teaching him. So we are sitting there, and I had already told another teacher, like, if this goes long, I need you to kind of come and interrupt it, because I'm kind of feeling uncomfortable with this whole situation as to why the student is here on my planning period and had to see me. And now he's wearing a suit, so I know something's up. So he's asking how I'm doing, and he just kind of dives right into it. He's like, so I was wondering if you would go on a date with me. And I looked at him probably gobsmacked and said, no, I won't go on a date with you. And he goes, well, please just give me a chance. And he keeps going into it. And I'm like, no, let me remind you, I am a teacher. You may have graduated, but you are still a child in my eyes. You are 19 years old. I am significantly older than you. I'm not going to go out to a bar, which, by the way, you can't get into a bar because you are a child, and pick up a 19-year-old. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to date someone who's my age or older. In my opinion, that's just the way that I work. And he is just like very, not upset, but he just like keeps going back, like, why can't I, like, please let me take you on a date, maybe just like a coffee date. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to let you take me out on a date. And he goes,
This is also something I always find weird with a lot of women nowadays. why do you share so much? Why do women share so much? Because this is kind of things like this is just honestly creepy, and it's like needless sharing. I believe what you should have done is just share this with your higher ups, right? With people around you, right? With your principal, I don't know, your teacher union, whatever. Sharing online is I question that. I always question that shit.
I maybe explain to you like a little bit about my feelings for you, and I wanted to say no, but I think I did say no actually, but he just wouldn't, like, he wasn't gonna leave. And so he's like, I think about you when I'm driving to my classes. I think about you when I'm making my eggs. And I'm like, trying to breathe because I'm like, okay. And he goes, do you think about me? And I looked him dead in the face, and I didn't want to break his heart, but also at the same time, I was like, I don't think about you. You were my student. That's the bottom line. That was our relationship, teacher, student. That's it. And I'm sorry that you feel otherwise, but nothing else was going to come of it. So he keeps going on, and I did ask him, I go, did I do something to make you think that this was going to go anywhere? Because I would never want to make a student think that I'm interested in them, because I'm not, because they're children. And his response was, he remembered the exact date. It was like February 4th, 2019. I might be fudging the date a little bit. It's not pertinent. He goes, you handed me a test back from AP Stats that I had failed. And you looked at me and said, I know you can do better than this. And he said, that's the moment I fell in love with you. And I was like, so I did my job by telling you that I believed you could do better than this based on what I knew about your knowledge about the content, and you fell in love with me? And he said yes. And I didn't have a reasoning, like I didn't have a lot to say to that. And then I asked him, I go, did you talk to anybody about this? Like, did you tell your friends? Knowing I don't think this boy has a lot of friends, but maybe he told his friends or explained to his parents why he was leaving in the middle of the day to go back to his high school. And he said, no, I didn't tell anybody, and I'd appreciate if you didn't tell anybody. And I looked at him and I said, don't you think that's kind of a big thing, that you wouldn't tell anybody that you're coming here to do this? That maybe it's saying that this isn't an appropriate situation. You should be dating people your own age and not someone who was your teacher. And he just wasn't understanding. He just kept going. And so I did have my friend come in, and she had asked like a math question and said that we needed to go to a meeting or something to try and get him to leave. And he was like, you're handling this really well. He said that to me, like, you're handling this really well. And I was like, I'm not sure how you expected me to handle this. I'm handling this professionally and trying to let you down and not crush your feelings, but also like explain to you that this isn't an appropriate relationship between you and I, because we don't have a relationship. So yeah, and he still sends me happy birthday messages every year on my birthday. He sings to me. When the clock hits midnight, he sends me a video of himself singing on my personal email, because I do give my personal email to some of my students if they need a letter of recommendation for something in college. Obviously, I wouldn't do that anymore. I have learned my lesson. I will be blocking him. I have made sure he does not see me on any type of social media. But yeah, that was a challenge, dealing with that. Nobody prepares you for that, because you don't really anticipate that, and you do everything you can to make sure that a student doesn't feel that way.
I don't understand that. Why would you give your personal email to a student?
So this
I don't really quite understand that. But I don't know. I always think, because this is a thing where I think a lot more women need to be more mindful, because again, more and more women are, falling, more and more female teachers are falling into this, um, pitfall of, having relationships with their students. So I don't know.
So this teacher posted a story time on how her former student came to her at the school and asked her on a date. Now, this story time is going very viral for a few reasons, so let's talk about it. First off, she looks very frantic as she's explaining this whole entire situation.
I can admit, yeah, she was very fidgety. So I was like, that's weird.
Second of all, she told on herself in the middle of talking about it. She said that her former student came dressed in a suit, and she said that the reason that he had any type of idea that there might be something going on between them was because she handed him a test back and said that he can do better than this. And that's apparently the moment that he fell in love with her. And how she told on herself was because she said that when he was confessing his feelings to her, she wanted to tell him no. And then she goes, but I did tell him no. So was it you wanted to tell him no, or did you tell him no? The way that she's so frantic, looking around as she's talking, like she can't even look at herself in the camera, like she's looking around, like she is clearly trying to tell the story before somebody else does. Now the big question is, who is the student, and are they going to come out with the story time? So
That is the thing where this is why would you bring this out to the world? Why you tell? It's like I don't understand, why do some women need to share so much and things that really you didn't need to share at all, right? I don't understand why you need to share this. It's just weird. It could be for validation, correct? Could be for validation. Could be for, you know, you are you're telling the story before it comes out or some shit like that. So it's weird. It's weird. I thought it was interesting, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So, but what do you guys think? You think it's weird? Because like I said, there's an increasing amount of stories of women, female teachers having inappropriate relationships with their students. So is this woman trying to get out before something like that that kind of news comes out? I don't know. Maybe. Foul face. She has that kind of face. Yeah, I don't know, but we'll see.